In Mark 1, we read, "Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed." Why is this story in Mark's gospel? It isn't a story of a miracle. It's just a small detail about Jesus' morning prayer rhythm. The 4 biographies of Jesus in the New Testament are full of small details like this. Jesus getting up early to pray in the quiet, keeping Sabbath, fasting, eating meals with his community, his way of life. These small details that we see repeat all through the life of Jesus are the practices, also known as the spiritual disciplines. But what are the practices exactly? The practices are disciplines based on the lifestyle of Jesus that create time and space for us to access the presence and power of the Spirit, and in doing so, be transformed from the inside out. The practices are disciplines or habits based on the lifestyle of Jesus. All of them come straight out of the pattern laid down by Jesus himself that create time and space. They slow our life down and open our life up to access the presence and power of the Spirit. They are how we draw on grace, God's energy to change, and in doing so, be transformed from the inside out. In other words, they are how we apprentice under Jesus. The practices come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but you can group them into 9 basic disciplines. Sabbath, an entire day set aside to stop, rest, delight, and worship. Prayer, intentional time to communicate and commune with God. Fasting, going without food in order to give yourself more fully to Jesus, purge your body of sin, hear and be heard by God in prayer, and stand in solidarity with the poor. Solitude, intentional time in the quiet to be alone with yourself and God. Generosity, the giving of our money and resources. Scripture, immersing your mind and imagination in the library of the Bible. Community, doing life with other followers of Jesus around a table in deep, loving friendship. Service, following Jesus' example in meeting the practical needs of others, especially the most vulnerable. And witness, practicing hospitality and preaching the gospel of Jesus. Think of these 9 practices as categories that all contain sub-practices. For example, Sabbath includes worship on Sunday and gratitude and celebration. Community includes the confession of sin and the Lord's Supper. Scholars call practices like these 9 the classical disciplines because they are for all people for all time. No matter what your personality is and no matter what stage of life you're in, some version of these 9 ancient disciplines should find their way into the lifestyle of every apprentice of Jesus. The practices of Jesus are utterly key to being transformed into people who are like Jesus, as we slow our busy lives down to live deeply connected to God.